So, Leesa.
Yes.
Leesa Harker.
Yeah.
People will know you more by the person who has wrote certain plays coming from Belfast and
Yeah.
Comedy.
Yeah. Maggie Muff.
Maggie Muff. Maggie's Vagrant.
Yep. So I've actually written 4 books and 4 Maggie Muff plays, and I have written about 3 other plays just of different subjects. And I've written a bit for TV as well now. I've done a bit of everything. But yes, I'm mostly known for writing 50 Shades of Red, White and Blue, Dirty Dancing in the Shebeen, Maggie's Vagrant and Maggie, Your Ma. Mm-hmm. That's the 4 plays. That's what I've been known for, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever get anybody shouting out at you? Or?
I do, yeah. People shout Muffalicious or Your Ma or what about the Vagrant? It's funny, I've actually been in the airport before going on holiday and people are shouting, are you in a Vagrant?
Very good.
I wasn't.
A bit of Belfast banter.
A bit of banter, yeah. I love it. It's good fun, you know. People love Maggie Muff, like.
Yeah.
They really do. And her chum, Big Sally Ann. Her sidekick.
So it's good to get you on here because you're working on something else. But before we come to maybe talk about that there, tell us a wee bit about how you got into writing and what inspired you to do what you do.
So I have wanted to be a writer since I was a child. Like, I remember writing poems and stories when I was really quite young. Probably just out of boredom. I was a bit of a weird child. I was a bit of a loner. I did have friends and everything, but there was in primary school there was a bit of bullying and stuff going on, and I really found solace in books. And I used to go to Skagany Library, which was across from where I lived, just off the Shore Road. Grove Library it would have been called actually, and I used to hire out books. Like, I used to go devour them, especially over the summer. But I used to read things like Stephen King. Like, I went to the library and said, I'm getting this for my mum. Because I was only like 10 or 11. It was for me. So I always loved horror and things like that. And then I suppose life just takes over. I started working. I left school when I was 16. I was really smart in school. Now I was. But I remember actually writing a short story for English. And it was so good. The teacher read it out in class. And I was so embarrassed. And I remember thinking, I'll never, ever do that again. Mm-hmm. I could kick myself now because I should have really carried that on. But I found that as like, she's made a fool out of me in class, you know, because I wanted to be one of the cool ones, you know. So, yeah, I left school, went in, started worked my way up into a career in finance and sales to the point where I was a bank manager in England. Lived in England for 3 years. And I was a bank manager. I was on this massive salary, and kind of the writing just kind of, it was always in the back of my mind, but it just felt like I never had the time really. And then I worked in car sales, and I've had every job you could imagine, like. And then when I had my kids and I split up with my partner, I found myself, I had to leave my job. And I thought, do you know what, I'm going to use this time and I'm going to now go back to the Open University and study for a degree. So I started studying for a degree in English and literature, and part of that then was creative writing, and that kind of kicked it off again. And then one of the creative writing sessions I was in, they were talking about this book, 50 Shades of Grey. So I had got the book to see what all the fuss was about, and I was like, what? You know, it was like, you know, it was great that writer got everybody reading and stuff, and people who don't normally read. Yeah. But there was parts in it that was like, I found crossing the line. Like, it was supposed to be, you know, this dominating, you know, Sado, whatever, which is fine, whips and chains and all, two consenting adults, no bother. But he was telling her she was only allowed to eat certain foods, you know, throughout her life, you know, not just when they were together. She wasn't allowed to go and see her mum without his permission. And that was all part of the sex games. And I was like, it's nobody else kind of saying that this is like a bit dangerous here. This is going into, I suppose now we would call it coercive control. But that wasn't really a thing back then when that book came out.
How long ago was that?
It was it must have been 2011 or 2012. So I kind of thought as a joke, I thought, because some of my friends were like, oh, Christian Grey, and I was like, Christian Grey, okay, he has a helicopter, but come on, you know, nobody's going to tell me I can't have a pasty bap. So I thought, well, I'm going to do a joke on Facebook for my friends, joke with a jag, get your message across with comedy, and it doesn't feel then like it's a message, you know, but it might make people think. So I said, right, well, that no wee Belfast woman's going to put up with that. Nobody, like I say, is going to tell me I can't have a pasty bap. And at the start of the book, the girl, Anastasia, is going to interview Mr. Grey. And I thought, well, the only interview my character will be going to is a back to work interview. So then I thought, right, he's going to work at the brew. She's going to be from the Shankill, because that's where I'm from originally. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I put a wee post on Facebook as a joke. And that was on the Friday night. And on the Monday, my sister phoned me. She said, there's 1,000 people on your Facebook thing. They want the next part. So I was like, okay, I better write that then. So I quickly typed it on. And by the following Friday, there was like 14,000 people on it.
Wow.
And then I got a call from Blackstaff Press to say, do you want to make us into a book?
Brilliant.
It was like crazy. I was actually writing a novel at the time, like a chick lit kind of, novel, and I had written a few short stories. So I was actively trying. I was sending it out to agents, getting loads of rejections, and then it just snowballed in a different way on Facebook that I never dreamt of in a million years that people would find that funny, because that's my own dark, sense of humour. But that's how it happened. And then from that, really, like every year there's something else. I've written all these books, plays. I've now been working in TV. I've made a short film. So it kind of it's like a dream come true. I really pinch myself every now and again. I think, take a step back, just think about how much I dreamt of this as a child, and now I'm right in the middle of it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do.
Do you not think though young people don't really believe in what they're able to do?
Yes, and that was me. Like I say, when I was a kid, I wrote that short story in English, and it was probably 3rd or 4th year, and I really thought I will never do that again. So it did take me 20 years after that. I did start writing again, but I think it's just, there's no opportunity. I mean, if there had been an opportunity for me in school, I don't remember any drama productions. We definitely didn't have drama as an option to study at the school I went to. If that had been an option, I'd have been all over it. I really would have.
Yeah, I remember in school it was Calamity Jane, Oklahoma, things like that. But it was more of a fun thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you could have a career in this,
Oh yeah, I remember telling family members and all, I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be making films, and they just laughed in your face, and they genuinely meant it. It wasn't it was pie in the sky to think that I would be sitting making films and filming it around Tigers Bay, and it being shown at a film festival in Chicago, in New York, in Washington, and winning awards. Won an award at the New York Comedy Film Festival. It was like pie in the sky. If somebody had told me that when I was a child, actually I was daft enough, I would have believed it, because I've always had this thing in my head of I can do anything. I don't know why, because nobody else is like that in my family. They all think I'm mad.
Do you read The Secret?
I did, yeah. I actually read The Secret not long before I started writing that Facebook post.
You ain't got anything to do with your...
I don't know. I mean, there is magic in the world. There is but I was working in the meantime. I was working hard in the background, but I did used to visualise my, in Waterstones down the town, the bookshop, I used to go to the wee coffee shop upstairs, and that is where I wrote most of 50 Shades of Red, White and Blue, in that coffee shop.
Do they know that?
What they do, and I made the mistake of saying it on a TV interview that I did, and then when I started going in, people were going, are you writing Maggie Muff? And then I had to stop going there because it was putting me off, because I thought people were staring at me. But I used to sit there and visualise the spines of the books on the shelf, and one saying, by Leesa Harker, up the spine, and that's what I used to visualise when we went to bed. And I was in a real crap situation, because, like I say, I've had to leave my job. I've worked all my life from I was 16. I had 2 young children, a newborn and a 2-year-old. I was in a wee tiny house I had to move into, rented. I was on benefits for a couple of years. So to go from the big flash BMW and the 4 holidays and the big house,
the downgradings.
It was a downgrade, and it was a lesson, in life as well. But it's like that thing, the phoenix from the ashes. You can't go any lower, and then you're on the way up again. So that's what happened.
Pretty inspiring. So it is. So also a thing many people won't know about, because we haven't put it out there, is our Performing Arts Academy. Obviously in areas like Rathcoole, Tigers Bay, there's been very limited to maybe no opportunities around the creative industries and stuff, until, like, if yourself, and we now have a very successful up and coming young academy of
Yep.
drama students.
Yep.
And they're amazing. But we're lacking that inspiring person to be part of our academy. And I suppose probably good now to talk about it, to let people know that we reached out to you because you are inspiring. You're from a community pretty much similar to this community that many of the young people are from, and we've asked you to become our patron.
And I said yes.
And you said yes, which is absolutely amazing for us.
I'm delighted. I've been looking to do something like this for a while, because I am feeling as well that the lack of stories and the lack of actors and the lack of directors, the lack of producers as well, coming out of our community, as in Protestant, Unionists, whatever, it's so small that really needs to be cherished and brought on and helped on. So I have wanted to do something for a while. It's something that's been in the back of my mind for quite a while, but just haven't had the time to sit and think how I would go about that. So this is kind of a perfect match, because you have all this already set up, and I can just come and add something to it.
Add to that. And I suppose coming from the angle of this community, we found that by able to have a positive approach to the arts, we're able to be more diverse as a community, where that without creative industries was a big barrier in this community, if you know what I mean. Working with people from, say, the Catholic community or different communities. But now that we're using the arts as a form of engagement, it allows people to see that this community is progressive as well, and that we can all work together, and it's probably our time to showcase that. Which we've seen it happen, and we've seen more and more young kids developing those friendships, relationships that without being introduced to the arts they would never have been able to make.
That's it. And I mean, I remember even from school doing the cross community trips and stuff. I remember going to must have been the Giant's Causeway or something, and when you got on the coach it was like one from one school, one from another school, so you had to sit beside somebody. And I remember sitting on the bus, like I say, I was a weirdo and I never spoke. I just sat there, and I remember thinking, like, there's the one in my class that would beat the head off you, and there's the one from that school, the same. There's the nerd that's into, Star Wars and all, and there's that. And I remember thinking, for every one in my class, every type of person, they have the same. So, like, are we really that different? We're not different at all. I remember actually having an epiphany on the bus on the way to, I think it was Dunluce Castle. But my daughters had done something in primary school, and it was cross community, and it was quite different. I went along as a parent to try and help out, and the two schools were separate. They were separated, and they didn't mix at all. The teachers didn't mix. It was just a ticking of a box. And they went to Helens Bay, and it was actually my sister who also went, and she was like, I need to do something about this. So she was like, right, I have a football in the car, come on. So she actually that was mostly boys, and they mixed and they played football. But that was her, and she didn't work for the school or anything. That was just a parent.
No, I think a lot of it's engineered when it comes to where we live. It suits a lot of people to keep us segregated, but I suppose the arts is a great way of changing that. And the things that you're doing, things that we're doing is definitely...
Well, whenever I wasn't really a person to go to theatre. In fact, I'd never been to theatre before I wrote my own play. People are shocked at that. I mean, I'd been to pantos, and I'd been to a couple of shows, like musicals from the West End, but I'd never been to see a play that was written in Northern Ireland, or from somebody from here. And I never really thought about it until after I had my first play on at the Mac, and then it went to the Grand Opera House, and they came back and said, look, your plays are bringing in a demographic that we've been chasing for years, as in the working class Protestant. And they're now coming in to see these plays, and we've never been able to get them in. So it wasn't done consciously, but it was a effect of what I did. And then I thought, actually, that's right, because that's me. That's me, and I would never have went, because they're usually all about the troubles, usually all one-sided, and it's not something I would be interested in going and watching. So I thought, right, well, that's actually interesting, because, why is that? Like, why isn't there? And then now I've realised it's because there aren't people like me writing plays about. I mean, there are people. Some of the recent plays that I've seen about our community are very patronising of the community that the people are from that are writing it, and it's really putting them down and maybe putting them into two different groups of good prod and bad prod, which I have a real issue with.
Yeah. I've heard about this before.
Yeah. So, you know, I just think that more needs to come out. And it's not just the writing, it's the producing, directing. There needs to be more people coming from our community. And it needs to be balanced in all areas.
I think there needs to be a balance within, if we talk about our community, it needs to be a balance within those who see themselves as middle class and working class. There's a big barrier there, even within our own community. When it comes to theatres and stuff like that, I remember taking a group of kids along. It was actually the Mac to go and see a show. We got free tickets, and they were able to go free to see it, and we got a bus paid for.
Yeah.
But when they got there, they went down to get a packet of crisps and a bottle of Coke. It was £8, and it was like, there's a barrier there as well, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So if you've 30 kids, you know, it's just under £8. It was ridiculous prices.
That's
you
crazy.
know, and you know, what do you do there?
That is crazy, yeah. And I guess if I was a kid and I found out the price and I couldn't afford it, I would be embarrassed and thinking, I'm not coming back here.
It's not for me.
It's the embarrassment, yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can see how that is a barrier, yeah, absolutely.
But I suppose the work that you're doing, so tell us a wee bit what you're doing next. What we'll have to look out for.
So I have so many things. So on a personal note, I'm writing a Christmas comedy at Theatre at the Mill called Belfast Actually. It's not really like Love Actually, you know, but it's like 3 unlikely couples who fall in love at Christmas. So it's going to be really funny, loads of Christmas music in it. I've got some really good cast. I'm doing auditions this week. And I'm doing that. I'm also doing a brand new Maggie play in January, February at the Mac. And it's basically the 4 Maggie plays that I've already written, but I'm making it into one play. Because sometimes I get people saying, oh, I missed the Feg run, or I didn't see the first one. So now nobody can miss out. It's the whole story. So it's going to be an absolute blast. I've written a feature film that I'm working with another guy. I've written another feature film that's set in Rathlin Island. And I have been doing some TV writing as well. So there's all of that going on. And what else?
You've been really busy.
Yeah. My head's like, I've got so many things going on at the minute, yeah.
I don't know, we've been asking you to do some things as well, which you haven't said no. You've agreed, but you're getting your priorities right at the minute.
You want me to talk about that now then?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So I would love to do some kind of like writing class or writing group with some of your members, maybe some older ones and then maybe some younger ones, separate them, and to do some kind of maybe like a weekly thing over a set period of weeks of learning to write, really, just because, you know, people, there is this argument of, can you learn how to write? And you can. Everybody has various levels of creativity within them on that basis, but there are some techniques you can learn to write. Like, I mean, I've done everything: short stories, novels, playwriting, writing a short film, writing for TV, and writing a feature film. So there's a whole vast area there. So I'm at the minute trying to work out what way I'm going to structure this wee course thing, but I am really excited about it, and hopefully there will be people within this group that maybe will go on then to get something commissioned.
There's probably people sitting in their homes thinking the way you thought, you know, I've always wanted to write or never had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So now they're going to have an opportunity.
And it is terrifying putting your work out there for the first time. It still is for me now. Like, even though of all the success I've had, when I am in the Grand Opera House or in the Mac or anywhere and my play's on for the first night, I literally am sitting in the back row rocking with stress.
Even still
to this day, and it'll never change. I get a stress rash that goes from here right up my neck to my chin.
Right.
And my sister is the only, she knows, 'cause she just goes, are you not for talking? And I'm like, no. And she go, your rash is up to your chin. And I'd be like, no.
Stress.
So it is, but it's like, people who are thinking, maybe, I'd like to do that, but maybe I'm not good enough. Well, put that to the back of your head. It is like taking your clothes off and standing in the middle of the diamond. when you show people your work for the first time. You're just so vulnerable.
Yeah.
But within a group of people, and if everybody's doing the same thing, then it gets easier and easier. And you can take, everybody can read each other's, and then you can take some notes on it and see what people thought. And some things that you think were just okay, people might love. And some things that you think were really good, people might be like, actually, you could change that. So taking critique and you critiquing other people's writing is really, really helpful when you're writing.
What an opportunity for people to come in and sit down with you, taking the class and sharing what you know.
Yeah, and they can ask me anything as well. From writing right the way through to production and making a short film and all that. I mean, I've got all this experience now. I'm happy to share all of the information that I have. And hopefully, like I say, there'll be people who'll start writing.
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for our teenagers. So they've been asking about, up to now they've been doing musicals, Into the Woods and Matilda and things like that. But now they're starting to say, we want to do some serious stuff.
Yeah.
So this could be a foundation for, our academies just copying other academies.
Yep.
There's none of them other academies are actually looking at writing their own material and they don't have someone like you actually coming in to support them,
I'm delighted to be able to do it, really. I'll get loads out of it as well, because I'll just to feel like you're maybe helping in some way to change things for the future. And like I changed it for the theatres whenever working class Protestants started coming. This is another thing that can be changed with a whole group of people and can make a difference. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm excited to hear that there's something going to be good on at Theatre the Mill. So I am.
Well, I haven't written it yet, so I'm hoping it'll be good.
Already, some of the staff here have been saying, "Well, we'll know what we're doing for Christmas, so we'll get some tickets and
have a night out.
We'll go to the theatre." So
well, it's on sale now if you want to get your tickets.
They're talking about it. Yeah. So, what's next after all?
Well, like from now until next year, it's going to be a crazy time because I'm doing of the 2 plays I've got, and not only am I writing them, but I'm producing both as well. So that takes up a lot of headspace with it because it's like a business, really.
Yeah.
And then I've got this comedy film, feature film that I'm writing that I think is probably the best thing I've ever written. So that's yet to come.
Is that a secret?
No, it's not a secret. No.
No. Is there a story to it, or?
It's basically about a woman who wrote a book in the 70s about sex, and not sure how much I can say on this because kids might be watching, but it's basically she wrote this book in the 70s and it's quite naughty.
Okay.
And she then left. She wrote it when she lived in America. She left America, came back to England, put that past behind her. Nobody knew who wrote the book. It was a mysterious author. And then present day, she's now in her 60s. She's married. Her husband's a retired GP. Her daughter's a lawyer. She's chair of the Women's Institute. And this book then comes back and it comes out that she wrote the book and no one knows. So it's how her life just starts crumbling all around her, and people thought they knew her and they're like, what? Her husband or nothing knew about it. And then it's about really how she just gets empowerment from it.
And this is a film?
Yeah, it's a film, yeah.
What sort of inspired you to write that or gave you the ideas?
I actually was on a course. It was a Channel 4 writers course. I've been on every course, by the way, so I've got all the material for anyone who's coming on these writing classes. It was a Channel 4 writing course. It was a 2-day thing, and I was partnered up with this guy who's from Jordanstown, actually, Green Island. And one of the lessons was, and I might do this as well, he ripped up a newspaper and he gave everyone a page and he said, from that page you've got to make a film out of something. And the page we got was rubbish because it was just book reviews, but there was one book on it. So this book is actually real. This book was written in the 70s. And between me and the guy, we kind of come up with this story about what if this mysterious author is really such a bland kind of person now, very vanilla, and then this secret comes out years down the line, and we just kind of snowballed from there. And we had to do a wee presentation on the day, just a 1-page thing, and the guy was like, that's actually really good. Now this was about 6 years ago. It was a long time ago. And then we started writing it and then we stopped, and then loads of things happened in between. I started working on all these different plays and stuff, and it was just put away. And only recently, really, I lifted it out again. And I was like, actually, this is so funny. So I've linked up with a guy again, and we're getting a draft ready to send out to my agent, and then hopefully we'll get some interest in it.
Brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it is. Local girl.
Yeah.
Following her dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have more dreams. I'll be in Hollywood one day, and I don't mean County Down, the other one.
Well, listen, we've come to our sort of time to wrap up.
Yep.
But it's been really good getting all that information from you, and thanks for sharing it.
That's okay, no bother. Thank you.
And we'll maybe see you up at the mill at Christmas.
Yep, see you there.
Well, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.